we are back. Welcome to my preview and predictions for Matchday 2 for the European qualifiers for the FIFA World Cup in 2026. Firstly, yes, I've gone back to the traditional colours. I want to do a professional job when I do these series, and we'll save all those funky colours and backgrounds for the actual World Cup itself next summer. But for the course of these European qualifiers, we will stick with the usual red background. As for what we're going to do for this video, I'm actually going to do it in two parts. I know I did the whole lot in one go the other day, but in order for me to do a proper analysis on the games that have just taken place yesterday, I want to actually have the time to watch the highlights, make sure I get all the information before I make those predictions. So that is what I've done ahead of today's video, where you'll see we're covering all 6 matches taking place tomorrow, and then tomorrow morning's video will cover the remaining 6 matches taking place on Monday. Hopefully that's all right for you guys. I obviously want to do the best job possible when it comes to these previews and predictions. I think that is the best way to do this. So if you do enjoy these prediction videos, as always, let me know by dropping a like on this video. And if you are new around here, please do consider subscribing with notifications turned on. We are on the road to 10,000 subscribers, and at the time of recording, we are less than 250 subscribers away. So you could be the magic person that takes this channel up to 10,000 subscribers, and I'll be incredibly grateful if you are. So make sure if you are new, you are subscribed. And don't forget, of course, we will be back with Premier League predictions, Champions League predictions, and so forth, starting again this Friday coming. But without any further ado, let's get into it. Just 6 previews and predictions for you to digest today. And once again, we will be starting off with Group G. And we'll start off by sort of discussing both games as a whole before then making the actual individual predictions. But we'll focus on Lithuania against Finland first, where I have to say, despite defeat, I think Lithuania are going to be very, very proud of their performance against Poland. Not only did they defend incredibly well for the vast majority of the game, but they also started creating chances in that second half as well, and almost stole all 3 points with an incredible chance for, I'm going to butcher their name, but Matulevicius, who got clean through 1v1, 5 yards out. All he had to do was put it past the keeper, but sadly hit it straight at Skorupski. And unfortunately for them, they were made to pay, because that man, yet again, Robert Lewandowski for Poland, gave them the 1-0 win, albeit from a deflected shot as well. But like I say, I think that's going to give Lithuania a hell of a lot of confidence going into this now home game against Finland, who themselves were far from convincing in their victory over Malta. Obviously, I did predict that victory over Malta. You'll see at the top of the screen, actually, we've got 11 out of 12 for the World Cup results and 2 correct scores as well. And these were 2 games that I got correctly, but way closer than I anticipated. And like I was just saying, Finland, far from convincing against Malta. And in fact, their goalkeeper, Hradecki, was given the Man of the Match award in a game that Finland realistically should have been winning quite comfortably. In terms of the game, though, they did actually miss a few big chances. There were a couple of open goals that went awry. And unfortunately for Malta, it was the Malta goalkeeper who gift-wrapped the ball to the Finland forward to give them the 1-0 win. But in terms of this match itself, it does make it a really interesting one to call, because like I just said, Lithuania, brilliant against Poland. Finland, not very convincing against Malta. And now with Lithuania being the home side in this one, you've got to feel like they do have some chance of getting a result here, despite the fact that on paper, Finland should be way better than them. The only problem that I have in terms of making a prediction like that is that Lithuania have lost 8 matches in a row. They lost all 6 matches in the Nations League, then they lost to Poland here. To be fair though, Finland also lost all 6 matches in the Nations League until they got that victory against Malta earlier on this week. I'm not confident enough to give Lithuania the win, and I will say for you watching, Finland 100% should be considered the favourites for this. And even though they didn't play great against Malta, they should win this game. But I'm going to give Lithuania the benefit of the doubt for how well they played against Poland. And I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. They might even nick a win. This is probably the dodgiest fixture of the 6 we're going to talk about today. And I'm going for a 1-1 draw. As for the other game, kind of as we were just saying, Poland weren't anywhere near their best against Lithuania, but of course did still end up getting the result. Malta are another side that arguably outperformed what you'd expect from them in that performance against Finland. And again, were unlucky to lose because they actually had more possession against Finland and had more shots on goal. Granted, as we already mentioned, Finland did put wide a couple of open goals. But you've got to give them credit where it's due. They did play very well. The problem we've got now, though, is that Poland are a way better side than Finland, on paper, and Malta are a way worse side than Lithuania, on paper. And obviously with Poland being at home as well, there really shouldn't be too much debate over how this fixture should go. In terms of the teams themselves, there is going to be an absentee that we know about for Malta because Shaw was sent off for a tackle late on Karinen of Finland. I've seen it. I understand why it's a red card. I think I'm going to be a little bit disappointed if I was Shaw, though, because a yellow card was given on field. It's one of them ones where they've caught them a little bit above the ankle, but it's more of a glancing blow than a full one that's gone right through it. I thought it was a little bit harsh, but I understand why a red card was given. He is going to be missing for Malta. No such concerns for Poland. And look, like I said, Poland are a way better side on paper. They're 133 places above Malta in the world rankings. This really should not be too much of a test for them. But given that they did struggle to put the ball in the net against Lithuania, I'm going to be a little bit more generous in Malta's favour and just go for a 2-0 victory to Poland. But it would be a genuine shock if Poland don't get the result there. Let's then move on to Group H, where we did have the one result that I was incorrect over, and that was Bosnia getting the win away against Romania. However, I'm not going to complain too much about how that result's gone, because firstly, I did say in my previous video that that was one of the ones that was more than likely to potentially go awry, and then also you actually look at the stats, and it's quite baffling how Romania didn't actually win. I'll talk about them more in their prediction because we'll focus on Bosnia and Cyprus in this one. And I have to say, I might be putting them down in terms of the actual stats, but I'm not going to take anything away from the goal that Bosnia scored. Brilliant build-up play, great pass from Dzeko into Kolasinac, little spin, then the ball across to Gigovic, who then put the ball, well, I was going to say straight past the keeper. He didn't. He put it sort of at the keeper's side, and the keeper sort of parried it in. But all in all, a really good goal from Bosnia. But from there, they've got to be thankful of their goalkeeper for making some incredible saves from Romania. And also an unbelievable penalty decision that I cannot believe was overturned, especially given the fact this is a UEFA competition as things stand before we actually get to the World Cup. Yes, Kolasinac has no idea where the ball is, but his arm is out and it strikes his hand, and the penalty was given on field. And genuinely, I am shocked that that was overturned by VAR. Fair play, because you never see those decisions overturned by UEFA referees, but it happened this time. Arguably, that would have then been 1-1, but Bosnia come away with the win, and that means that they are on 3 points at the top of the group, along with Cyprus, who also picked up 3 points by beating San Marino. They were denied a goal early on due to a very tight offside, but from there, they were still relatively dominant. I say relatively dominant. They had 70% possession over San Marino, created a whole host of chances, got the go-ahead goal, and then got a second late on the counter-attack. But realistically, how much can you read in to a performance over San Marino? Yes, San Marino have had a good few months in the Nations League, but realistically, they are not on the same level as Cyprus, who realistically are not on the same level as Bosnia. To be fair, though, these sides haven't met since 2017, and on that occasion, when Bosnia arguably were a better side than they are now, Cyprus actually got the victory. So don't rule them out in this one. And also for Bosnia, Edin Dzeko appears to have broken his nose in that match against Romania. He went off at half-time, and the reports are suggesting that he won't play in this game. So they'll be without their main man. So maybe there is a slight chance for Cyprus here. But personally, I don't see it. It'd be incredible for them to win away at Romania, then drop points at home to Cyprus. So I'm going to go for Bosnia. I'm going to go for 3-1. I'll give Cyprus a goal because of how well they played against San Marino, albeit it was San Marino. But we'll see. Ultimately, Bosnia should win. And then we have San Marino themselves taking on Romania. As we just mentioned, they only had 30% possession against Cyprus. But to their credit, they did create a couple of chances, got a couple of shots on target. They are genuinely playing better than just the pure whipping boys that everyone expects them to be. As for Romania, now we can actually talk about what happened in the match against Bosnia from their perspective. They had twice as much possession as Bosnia. They had 3 times as many shots, 3 times as many shots on target, and something like 2 to 3 times the amount of XG as well. Realistically, whether they got that dodgy penalty or not, which obviously they didn't, they still should be coming away at least with a draw from that game against Bosnia. So how they couldn't put the ball in the net, I don't really know. The problem is for San Marino is, obviously, as we know, they've just lost to Cyprus. Well, Romania, in their previous game before their game against Bosnia, was against Cyprus in the final Nations League game, and Romania won 4-1. So if they're going to beat Cyprus 4-1 and Cyprus just beat San Marino, stands to reason that Romania should very comfortably see off San Marino here. I know I've just said that they're not the whipping boys that they used to be, but this is a side that more than likely will make them whipping boys once again. I'm going to go heavy on Romania. I'm going to go for a 4-0 victory. It genuinely could end up being more, but they didn't find the net against Bosnia, so who knows? Maybe San Marino spring a surprise, but I don't see it. 4-0 to Romania. And then we have Group K, which is Albania, Andorra, England and Latvia. We'll start off with Albania and Andorra, where essentially we've got two sides here that did next to nothing in their respective opening games of this league phase. Between the two sides, they only were able to muster up 2 shots on target. Both of them were from Andorra. Albania had 0 shots on goal against England. Also, Andorra managed, I think it was, 36% possession they managed at home to Latvia. Albania only managed 26% possession at Wembley. So there really isn't a lot to go on in terms of what we saw from the opening game, so we'll have to go back a little bit further. In terms of a head-to-head record, Albania and Andorra last met in 2021. On both occasions, Albania won by a scoreline of 1-0, both home and away. Then we actually look at their Nations League form. Albania managed to muster up 7 points in League B. Unfortunately, that did see them get relegated. However, Andorra only managed 1 point in League D, and they didn't score a single goal. In fact, Andorra haven't scored a single goal, period, for 10 matches in a row, which is a run that stretches back to March 21st, 2024. So quite literally, Andorra have not scored a goal for over an entire calendar year. I don't think I need to say too much more about this. Albania should be winning this. They do have some quality players. There are a couple of moments against England where you thought, oh, maybe they could spring some danger here. And against a side way further down the rankings in Andorra, I would expect Albania to get the win. I'm not going to go crazy again, though. I'm just going to play it safe. I did 1-0 Latvia against Andorra. I got that one spot on. I'm going to go for 1-0 Albania against Andorra and hope I'm spot on again. One final thing to note, actually, in terms of goals, is that potentially Albania could have to change their goalkeeper for this game because Strakosha seemed to pick up some sort of head injury, or he didn't look himself and had to go off in the last few minutes against England. So if they do change their goalkeeper, maybe Andorra get an opportunity, but I still don't see it. I'm sticking with 1-0. And then finally, we have the mighty Thomas Tuchel's England taking on Latvia once again at Wembley. Let's be honest. Yes, Latvia just beat Andorra, but realistically, Latvia aren't even on the same level as Albania, and England were very, very comfortable against Albania. It was a 2-0 victory, but I think a lot of England players weren't even that on it, and I think if they were, it could have been a hell of a lot more. Against a side like Latvia, where, again, you're going to probably see them sit in, it's just going to be a case of how many goals England score. In terms of the teams, I could definitely see Tuchel making changes. One player who's definitely not going to be playing is Anthony Gordon. He picked up what looked like quite a bad knock again in those last few minutes. He could feel it immediately. And unfortunately for him, he sort of limped on the rest of the game, but then collapsed to the floor when the full-time whistle went. So I don't think he's going to play, but there could be some other changes for England. No such problems for Latvia. They're probably going to look to set pieces as their route to goal. It's how they got their goal against Andorra the other day. So we'll see. But again, if England play the way they did against Albania, Latvia are going to struggle to get the ball out of their own half, let alone get it into situations where they can start putting balls into the box to try and win some headers. England should win this comfortably. Again, it's just going to be a case of how many. I think with a couple of new players in the side that are really going to be chomping at the bit to get a good impact and a good showing, England will take this very, very comfortably. If this is harsh from Latvia, I do apologise. I'm going to go for 5-0 England. Hopefully, the Latvian fans can be as vocal as the Albanian fans were. I've got to give them credit. I was there at Wembley the other night. The Albanian fans really gave it the big one. So hopefully, at least they'll have something to cheer about. But ultimately, all I care about is England getting more wins and more goals. 5-0 I'm going to England, and that will round off today's video. Like I said, tomorrow we will do the remaining 6 games once I've reviewed the matches that took place last night. Hopefully you've all enjoyed this one. Let me know down in the comment section below anything you think I've missed regarding any of the matches taking place tomorrow. Thank you very much for watching once again. I'll see you again tomorrow morning.